Hello, everybody. Today I will be doing a 2028 Republican primary prediction. Uh, okay, now I don't think Vivek will run, so I'm gonna delete him. So this is ever I think will run. The reason I don't think Vivek will run is because I think he will be Ohio governor, and he's most likely going to be on good relations with J.D. Vance, and probably doesn't want to run against him. And I don't think his policies differ enough from J.D. Vance for people to vote for Vivek instead of J.D. I think Vivek will be focused on the Ohio governorship and possibly making a run in 2032 or 2032 if J.D. Vance does not win the presidency, or in 2036 after J.D. Vance's term is up, or whoever wins the presidency's term is up. So yeah, let's go ahead and get start, and we'll start with the Iowa caucuses. Now in 2024, DeSantis did put up a fight, but I still think a majority of this Trump vote will still go to J.D. Vance. I think he gets around 50%. He'll lose about 1%, and I do think most Vivek voters end up voting for JD too. So I have JD at around 52%. I do think Ron DeSantis though still gets around 20% of the vote he got in 2024. I do have Chris Christie running, but anybody voting for Chris Christie, I could see Chris Christie dropping out before the primaries start and just endorsing Nikki Haley, seeing that as his best option for getting any power inside of the U.S. government, and Nikki Haley having the best, as one of the more liberal Republicans, chance to win. I think Nikki Haley will get around 12% the vote. 12, around 15. I do think she is less popular than she was at the beginning of this run, but I still think that we'll build. But I don't know if there's enough votes for Chris Christie. So Chris Christie will drop out. Do you see Glenn Youngkin? Although, you know what, I'm gonna have JD, Glenn Youngkin, got Ron DeSantis lose a little bit, and Greg Abbott, Texas governor, taking a percentage of the vote. And that looks about right. So we have J.D. Vance with a clear lead, and Ron DeSantis being the runner-up. So Chris Christie drops out. The next state will be New Hampshire, which was a little bit better for Nikki Haley. She did pretty good, winning about 30%, and it's a more liberal area. So I think Nikki Haley will win it by around 20, 27, 22, 27, 20. I don't think she'll win it. I think she'll get around 22%. Ron DeSantis will get around a margin. Josh will get a small margin. He is sort of that establishment Republican. I think he will be sort of like the Ted Cruz from 2016 in this scenario. But I don't have Ted Cruz running because he barely ran. He is very unliked in Texas. And the only reason he won the 2024 Senate race is because he was the Republican. I think if any other I think if he were the exact same person but ran under a different party, he couldn't have run. I think Glenn Youngkin will take about 13% of the vote. And we'll have J.D. Vance with about 31% of the vote. And then Greg getting a smaller portion of the vote too. So now it's J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Glenn, Greg, Josh. We now go to Nevada, which, wait. Was I looking at Massachusetts? Yeah, I was. Now we go to Nevada, where Donald Trump won by a very large amount. But I do know it's Nevada primaries were a little bit weird because this was like the caucuses, and really like Nikki Haley sort of got a small vote here. Like it was like 30%. I don't know. If somebody knows how the Nevada primaries work, please tell me. But I think JD Vance would do good. This is another very good state for JD Vance, getting around 51% the vote. Glenn getting a small margin the vote. I think by this time, Josh would still be in, but basically not campaigning anymore. Possibly suspends his campaign after Nevada and probably endorses JD Vance. We see Nikki Haley get around 15% of the vote, Greg getting about the same amount as Youngkin, and Ron DeSantis taking 11% of the vote. Okay, I think by this time, Josh will have suspended his campaign and endorsed JD Vance, and I think Greg Abbott, I think is how you say his name, and probably endorse JD Vance. I don't think if somebody does drop out, I don't see them endorsing anybody else besides JD. We now go to South Carolina. Oh, did not know that. In South Carolina, I know Nikki Haley, her home state, did not as good as she was expected to, but it still is her home state, so I'm going to give her around 24% the vote. This is closer to Florida, so I do see Ron DeSantis getting a nice margin of the vote, and JD Vance taking about the rest of the vote, winning it by around 5% more than Ron DeSantis, and then Glenn getting a small margin of the vote. Now, I think Glenn drops out before Super Tuesday. Wait, no. I think Glenn will drop out after South Carolina and endorse JD Vance. So now it's just a race between JD Vance, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis. Oh, Virgin Islands are up next. Is there a way to look at the Virgin Islands on this map? Here it is. Virgin Islands. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to have JD Vance with around 60% of the vote, I would say. No, not 66. I'll keep it at 55. Ron DeSantis with around 22%, and Nikki Haley with 22% too. Now, what state do we go to? Hold on. What's the next state? Goes Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada primaries, Nevada caucus, Virginia, South Carolina, Michigan. And Michigan, I think this is going to be JD Vance's best state so far. It's close to Ohio. I could see JD Vance winning this by around 65% the vote. Michigan has been leaning more right every year. So I don't see Nikki Haley doing too good in this. I think Ron DeSantis gets around 23% of the vote. Now, after Michigan, we go to Indiana, I believe. No, Idaho. In Idaho, I think Idaho is easily going JD Vance by around a 70% margin. We see Ron DeSantis taking around 20, and then Nikki Haley taking the rest. Now, Nikki Haley's clearly falling behind. Do I think Nikki Haley drops out yet? No, she didn't drop out before Super Tuesday when she was running against Trump. You think she's going to drop out whenever she has 37 delegates? To her, that basically means she's going to win. After Idaho, we go to Missouri, where, wow, what? What happened here? Am I reading that right? Huh. Well, I think JD Vance, I think this is going to be a more even race between JD Vance and Ron DeSantis. I think this is going to be Ron DeSantis' best state so far, but JD Vance still takes a margin and Nikki Haley gets around 11%. We now go to Washington, D.C., which I think will be the first state, first area that Nikki Haley ends up winning. I think, and and it's gonna be a tie between, well, and I think this is gonna be the first state where JD Vance isn't even second either. I think it's gonna go Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, JD Vance. Because we can look on here. Yes, DC. Look, Nikki Haley won by 60%. So this is clearly a very liberal Republican area. So I think Nikki Haley ends up winning DC. We now go to Nebraska, where in Nebraska, it's a pretty Republican state. And, well, of course, this is Republican primaries. I don't know if it matters how Republican. Well, it sort of does. But I think JD Vance, I think Nebraska is a more moderate area. So I think Ron DeSantis does do good here around 36, 33. No, maybe more like 30%. JD Vance takes about 58, and Nikki Haley takes the other 11%. Now, I believe after Nebraska, it's Super Tuesday. Yeah, Super Tuesday. Okay. I have this map of last year's Super Tuesday, just so I could see all the states. And, I guess let's just start off with Texas. We'll go to Texas first. And I could see maybe Greg still getting, maybe if he isn't able to get himself off the ballot fully, him getting, or write-ins, maybe he's getting like 62%, the 0.62% the vote, something crazy like that. I think Ron DeSantis does do good here, around 27% the voting margin, and then Nikki Haley gets around 14% the voting margin. Then we see JD Vance getting the other 57% of the voting margin. Now we'll go to now we'll do Oklahoma next, I believe. Yeah. Oklahoma went to Donald Trump by around 81.8%. I still see Nikki Haley getting around 10. I'll say 12% to 13.95% the vote, because I do think a small percentage of the people that voted for Nikki Haley here were actually people that wanted to vote for Ron DeSantis, but he dropped out, and they saw Nikki Haley as their next best not Trump option. So I think Ron DeSantis picks that up. But Oklahoma is clearly is a little bit more redneck. It's a more Republican redneck area in the union, and I think this is going to be JD Vance's, probably one of his best states. We'll go to Arkansas next. Let's see, Arkansas. Ash Hunks. I think Nikki Haley will get around 15% of the vote. Ron DeSantis getting around 25% the vote, and then JD Vance taking the other 60%. Now, I just want to say, if you don't believe me on JD Vance doing this good in the Republican primaries, look at what Al Gore did in the Democratic primaries in 2000. He was the vice president for Bill Clinton, and then he ran in 2000, and he absolutely smashed the second option. And he won everything. We will now go to Tennessee. Now, in Tennessee, I see this state showing Ron DeSantis some love. So I'll give him around 22%. Nikki Haley will get around 15% of the vote. And then JD Vance taking the rest again. At this time, this is where we see JD Vance blowing the rest of the candidates completely out of the water so far. We'll do Alabama next, where in Alabama, it's clear. I think, that was Mississippi. No, Alabama. I think Ron DeSantis, it is closer to Florida, so I could see him getting around 24%. Nikki Haley getting this is probably going to be Nikki Haley's worst state with only around 4%, 4 or 5%, and then JD Vance smashing everybody else out the water. North Carolina will be next. In North Carolina, Trump did pretty good. I could see Ron DeSantis doing good. and maybe, I don't know. I actually don't see Ron DeSantis doing good. I see Nikki Haley getting around 20% the vote, Ron DeSantis getting 22% the vote, and then JD Vance with 57% of the vote. We'll go to Virginia next, where Nikki Haley actually won some areas. So I think Nikki Haley gets around 30% of the vote here. Ron DeSantis won't do too good here, with JD Vance taking around 50% the vote. Actually, this is going to be the first state, I think, I have JD Vance slightly under 48%. I'm going to have Ron DeSantis with 20%. We'll now do Massachusetts. Yeah. This is a very liberal state. I see Nikki Haley getting around 32, 30, around 32% the vote, with Ron DeSantis possibly winning this state, maybe. I could see this state being a three-way tie between, or close to a three-way tie between all the candidates. And we'll go ahead and get Vermont, very interesting state. This is the only state Nikki Haley won. So I have Nikki Haley winning it again, and then Ron DeSantis coming in second, and then JD Vance in last. I think this will be JD Vance's worst state. Minnesota now. I have Nikki Haley with around 20% here, 23%. Ron DeSantis with 25, I'll put it up 23, tied with Nikki Haley, and then JD Vance taking the rest of the vote at 53%. What else? Oh, California. Now, I think this will be, Nikki Haley will get around 14, 15, I think she'll get 15% of the vote. I think Ron DeSantis gets around 36% of the vote. And then we have JD Vance slightly under 50% the vote with 49.11%. Utah, I didn't know it voted that much for Nikki Haley. Surprising. I think Nikki Haley will do yes, that's good again with around 40% the vote. And then Ron DeSantis, I think this could be the first state Ron DeSantis wins. Yeah, I'll give Ron DeSantis a state. Yes, to make it a little interesting. Now we'll go to Colorado, which voted for Nikki Haley a good amount too. I'll put her at 29%, Ron DeSantis at 35%, and then coming in with a tie with JD Vance in Colorado. We will now, Alaska, of course. Alaska, I think Alaska will go to whoever is the most libertarian. I think JD Vance will do the best promoting himself as a libertarian in Alaska. We have Nikki Haley coming around 20%, and then Ron DeSantis taking the other 21%. Oh, we have Maine. And I think that's the last Super Tuesday state. I'm going to have Nikki Haley coming in at around 20%, Ron DeSantis coming at 25%, and JD Vance taking the other 55%. And I believe that's all the states for Super Tuesday. Now, after this, either Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis will drop out. I see Nikki Haley not dropping out. She's got nothing else to do. Ron DeSantis can still climb up. I could maybe see a JD Vance Ron DeSantis ticket. But I do think Ron DeSantis will see himself possibly getting a VP nomination with JD Vance. So I'm glad Ron DeSantis drop out after Super Tuesday and endorse JD Vance for the presidency of the United States. After this is now a race between Nikki Haley and JD Vance. So we're done with Super Tuesday. We now have the Samoa Islands, I believe. What is this? Is this it? Yeah. Where Donald Trump won all 9 delegates. So I'll give JD Vance all 9 delegates again. But no, I'll give like a few to Nikki Haley. Now with Nikki Haley has all the support of we're over Trump, we're over MAGA movement. So I think a lot of people that voted, around half of the people that voted for Ron DeSantis will now be voting for Nikki Haley. Not because they like her policies, because they're done with the MAGA movement. They want to move on. We have the Georgia primaries next. Georgia. I think this will be one of Nikki Haley's better states, because by this time she had stopped campaigning and still got 13% of the vote. Oh, whoa. So I think Nikki Haley will actually get around 37% of the vote, and then JD Vance taking the rest of the vote. After this, we have Hawaii, which I believe I don't think Nikki Haley did good here. Yeah, no. But, so I'm going to have JD Vance take it around 73%, Nikki Haley take it around 26%. After Hawaii, we have the Mississippi primaries, which will easily go to JD Vance by around like 70, 82%. Nikki Haley won't get anything there. Yeah. Washington primaries, which we could see Nikki Haley possibly try to make a comeback in Washington. Maybe this is where maybe I could see her skipping campaigning in Mississippi at all and spending a lot of campaign money in Washington, seeing it as a more liberal state she can win. But I still see JD Vance winning it by around 60%. And then after Washington, I think Nikki Haley will consider dropping out, knowing she's nowhere close. But I think she's going to look towards the Florida primaries. The Florida and Illinois primaries coming up. So I think in Guam, I think JD Vance absolutely wipes out Nikki Haley. And I also think, and I think JD Vance gets almost all the vote here too. Maybe 88% of the vote with one delegate going to Nikki Haley. So, and then also skipping primary in Arizona too. Still think she'll get around 20%, but I don't think she's going to put any money into this. JD Vance just wipes her out. I think she's, Florida. As the two big states, because if she could do good in Florida, Illinois, it could be her comeback time. Here, giving Nikki Haley 26.8%, with JD Vance coming in with 72%. And this is where JD Vance wins with 72.80%. And after this, I think Nikki Haley will completely drop out. So we just see JD Vance on the rest of the states with Nikki Haley with no campaign funding. She did campaign in Illinois a little bit, so she'll win with around 20. She'll get to 20% the vote. And then the rest of this, I see her taking her name off the ballot, endorsing JD Vance, and JD Vance getting basically the rest of the state's votes. Her getting around 9 to 8% of the votes. And her voters just not showing up at all. Because, they know she's lost. The turnout for Nikki Haley will be awful by around this time. Can I feel? So we just see JD Vance win basically the rest of everything else. And And yeah, this is how I think the 2028 Republican primaries will go. Thank you all for watching, and peace out.